10 years later. I will take care, father. May the Ancient One also guard you. The prince waved as the shore boat pushed off the beach, carrying the emperor of the northern dominions of Tundrand. Catch some supper for the lads, son, the emperor shouted, as the rowers propelled him toward the ship. The caravel was the finest sailing vessel in all the ports of call in the Dominion. More than a month before, the company traveled from their northernmost city of Bergine in the Tundrand province. They voyaged with a clandestine purpose to the city of Ajar and the eastern islands, the kingdom by the sea. The emperor had begun a systematic look at each of the 3 main islands and several islets. These expeditions, masked as pleasure jaunts for his ship's company, in fact sought signs of loyalists in hiding. The disguised soldiers of the emperor left maps indicating the secret meeting place for a council of war. Surveying the islands was a dangerous undertaking. Betrayal or discovery could mean their endeavors would be lost, bringing their mission to naught. Father, I insist on being a decoy on the island. Every day the enemy suspects us more and more. Everything depends on continued secrecy. If I remain alone here each afternoon to relax, the deception of our pleasure cruise will be vastly more believable. My son, should a prince be sacrificed for show? But secretly the emperor also knew his son's ruse could be helpful to this indispensable mission. Trust me, father, I shall row back every evening. Each morning the shore boat will bring us back to cavort again on our island holiday. In the end we can only hope our charade is convincing. The emperor knew that the Lord Regent's spies were watching their every move. He knew they had only a slim hope. The caravel could not come any nearer the island. It was by far the largest and fairest ship of the Dominion's mammoth fleet. Here a man of a family and long distinguished ship architects built it. The vessel, seaworthy and magnificent, boasted the finest cypress and cedar timber. The finely crafted living quarters were beautifully paneled. When spread full sail with its colorful flags flying, the ship took one's breath away. It was indeed legendary. An almug wood figurehead of the emperor's twin sons completed its regalia. The emperor himself specified particular attention to the design and comfort of Empress Judith's quarters. Such detail highlighted the emperor's very great devotion toward his bride. The caravel was primarily a pleasure craft. However, known only to a few, it could hold its head high in any sea battle. Yes, the caravel played an important part in the charade. Much of Prince Lael's young life was spent upon the mighty sailing vessel. Prince Lael and his twin brother Kristin were born to their parents in their later years. Emperor Carlson appointed the firstborn infant Prince Kristin his direct successor. The latter-born Prince Lael would govern the next kingdom to unite with the northern provinces of Tundrand, likely an alliance among the lands of the Southern Ocean. Command of the caravel would thus pass to the second son. Accordingly, Lael received, in the northernmost port and capital city of Bergine, a rigorous naval military training. By both heritage and preparation, love for the sea deeply impressed Prince Lael during his early years. Lael watched the shore boat gently breaking the waves as the rowers steered skillfully back to the ship. The island waters bore a strikingly similar character to the inlets of the northern provinces. They differed primarily in that these lacked the great mountains towering above them. They also supported accessible beaches. Of the several greater and smaller islands comprising the island kingdom, Lael stood upon one of the 3 inhabited islets. The city of Ajar sits upon what was once one of the islands, but is now a peninsula. A narrow isthmus formed by the adjacent river mouth and the tides over many years now connected the city's land to the mainland. The sea breeze blew against Lael with a light mist. His dark hair curled tightly from the dampness of the ocean air. Sighing with the relief of solitude, he nonetheless glanced cautiously around. The island felt deceptively quiet. He could see no ship, fishing craft, or even small boat anywhere. No ocean-going commerce graced the seaside city of Ajar or the eastern islands anymore. News traveled that the new depot blockaded all trade routes and closed the port of Ajar. This tyrant now reigned absolutely by his black guard. He haughtily and mysteriously titled himself as the Lord Regent. People knew not from whence either he or his dastardly guard had come. When Lael questioned the Empress, his mother, about their origin, she breathed out, "Sorcery brought them forth." The young prince stooped down, and smoothing the warm sand with his hands, spied an unusual shell protruding. Pulling it out from its partial sand cocoon, he straightened it up and moved toward the water to wash it. Glancing out in the inland waters, He watched his father's shore boat advance to the caravel. Lael's mind went back in time to his first journey to the once thriving kingdom by the sea. That voyage, made so many years ago, was meant for a far more pleasant purpose than this one. Lael smiled as he thought of his early years. Optimistic and adventuresome, he also recognized a special destiny awaited him, a destiny for which he was now well prepared. Often the strength and energy of the young is wasted on the mundane and the trivial. Though only 14, the prince knew precisely why his parents made that early voyage, and he trusted their design. His mischievous eyes twinkled as he agreed to the arranged marriage. "Yes, father, I will accept the little princess of the island kingdom. But, mother, I trust she will like to fish." She and Lael were distant cousins through his mother's line. Earnest family conversations confirmed his attachment to her family before the princess was born. Her parents and 6 brothers often visited them in Bergine. The baby girl's birth came as a surprise. The 2 sets of parents discerned a special bond might well form between their 2 children, and began to plan and hope for a future union. Due to affairs of state before and after the birth, the families had not reunited for 8 years. Finally, Prince Lael and his family set sail for the eastern islands. Memory of that voyage was not happy, for tragedy robbed the expectation of the cousins' happy weeks together. They planned the festivities for the families to unfold upon the 8th birthday celebration of the little princess. The day Lael's family arrived, her entourage aboard a royal barge were to meet them at anchor. She and her family would board the caravel and together cruise the islands. Instead, the day the emperor arrived, the darling of Ajar fell from the royal barge and was lost to the sea. After remaining there for some time and offering what help and solace they could, the emperor's family and court sadly set sail for home. The loss of the little princess, the treasured, betrothed bride of their son, gravely affected them. Her fate would later profoundly affect the life of young Prince Lael of Tundrend. Some 2 years later, the families again came together when Prince Loren, son of the slain royal family, made a surprise visit to the Bergine palace. Loren left his family at home at a young age for sea duty and still knew nothing of the family tragedy. Responsibility to tell Prince Loren of the sad loss of his only sister fell to the emperor. With regret in his heart, Lael also shared with Loren about the marriage plans between him and the little princess. Their mutual loss forged a special and lasting bond between Loren of Ajar and Prince Lael. So, Loren of Ajar is the king of Ajar?
Loren is one of the 6 brothers.
Gotcha. And Prince Lael is of the southern islands. Northern Tundra. Okay.
And if you ever wonder when you're reading, you can look in the Persona Lectora.
Right.
It will help you.
However, as it happened, no one heard from Prince Loren again after he journeyed north once more from Bergine. The loss of the princess was only the first agony for the unfortunate kingdom. A few short years after this calamity came the disappearance and execution of the royal family. The shock tore the hearts of the emperor and his family. The news spread throughout the empire of the northern provinces of Tundra. As knowledge of this evil tyrant acts of terror grew, Emperor Haraldson often contemplated intervention and vengeance against the Lord Regent. 10 years had passed since the emperor of the northern provinces received the news of the horrible murder of that royal family, and now the time was ripe. As Prince Lael stepped upon the island shore, he thought again of the reasons for his presence there. The emperor had received bidding from the White Knight. Somehow Lael knew that justice for the royal family and liberation of the eastern islands had at last had begun.